Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're looking at wood burners. Now for the past 2 weeks here on the show, I have been doing a wood burning tutorial, and we finished it up with part 2, which was last Tuesday. And at the end of that show, I said that I was going to try and find some links to some cheaper wood burners. And I did that, and I posted them in the video description. And then I got to thinking, how can I post these links and say, hey guys, here's some burners you can do this with if I had no experience with those burners. So I ordered them. I ordered both of the wood burners that I posted in the links, paid for them out of my own pocket. Before anybody thinks that they were provided for me, they were not. I paid for them personally. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through those today. We're going to compare them with the Razertip burners that I have. We're going to show you what you get for the links that I posted, and we're going to do a couple little tests. We're not going to do a full burning. It just takes too long to do something like that. But we're going to do some test burnings and compare the results of the 3 burners side by side and just see how we do. When it's all said and done, I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to give you my first impression of these burners, let you know, is it worth the money or not? And we'll just see how today's show goes. We're going to have a little bit of fun with this. So guys, let's head over to the bench and have a look at the burners. Well, the first burner that we're going to look at is going to be the soldering iron type that I ordered. Now guys, this is how it comes when you order it. They saved quite a bit on packaging here, it would appear. But what we have in this kit, we have a soldering iron style of a wood burner with an adjustable temperature dial here. I don't know how accurate that dial is. We also have a set of 5 tips, as well as this one here. So we have a chisel, we have a medium point, we have a fine point, it looks like another medium point, a smaller style blunt nose chisel, and what looks like a shading tip. So all usable tips in here. We have a brass brush, which is used to clean any soot off of the end of your soldering iron tip. And as well, we have this little guy, and this is your holder that holds your iron when it's hot and you're not using it. Now this just bends up kind of like this, and then your iron, when you're not using it, will just sit in here and just keep the tip up off your table surface. This whole thing, all the tips, the stand and the brush and the burner, all of this was less than $15. So in this case, it's a cheap alternative. Does it work? I don't know. We're going to find that out soon. So let's put this aside, and we're going to look at the next one that I ordered, and that would be this one here. What comes in the box is a stand to hold your burner or your pan while you're not using it, same as the other one, just a little more robust, with a water reservoir and a high expansion foam pad in here for wiping or cleaning your tip or cooling it if you've overheated it. We have the main console unit, which is this one right here, and we have a main on-off switch here. This is where your burner plugs in, and then we have our secondary on-off with our heat selection. It looks like 1 through 9. We have a screwdriver, a little small Phillips screwdriver. We have our wood burning pen, a little more robust here than what our soldering iron is, but this one here takes soldering tips that go into these 2 holes here, and then you tighten them with these 2 set screws using your Phillips screwdriver. It comes with a little carving knife. It comes with a set of tweezers to remove and insert your tips should they be hot. And as well, it comes with this little tin case. And in this tin case is a whole plethora of different wood burning tips. There's a lot that comes with it. And guys, not bad. If you want to compare it to the other one, the soldering iron style was less than $15. This one is $37. So there you go. And you've got the full kit here, and of course the manual. I forgot to mention that. You get the manual as well. So let's have a look now at the Razertip system. Okay, and here we have the Razertip burners that I have. Now, guys, we have this one here, which is the single pen or single output Razertip. And then we have this one here, which is the dual Razertip output. So these are sold individually, and each one of these comes with a regular cord and one wood burning pen, which is this one here, and that would be the larger skew chisel. Now guys, if you're using something bigger, like say a shading spoon, for that you need a heavy duty cord. You cannot use them with the regular cords because they will overheat. As well, for this, I have this little guy here, and what this is this one here takes different style heads kind of thing, and you can put your individual burner tips, that's what's in this little container here, you can put those burner tips onto this universal handle and it will heat up through the two systems. So what are we talking about as far as price goes? Guys, the single output Razertip alone, this one is $169 plus tax. This guy here, this one is $209 plus tax. This cord here, 20 bucks. And each one of these pens is a minimum of $30 a shot. So the price here is considerably more than what the price is for the Amazon links that I provided you guys. So that's something you got to look at. How serious are you about getting into wood burning? So we're going to set all of these burners up, and we're going to try to do some similar burning techniques and see how each one behaves. Well, I have all three set up with a chisel style tip. I have here a piece of plywood, and I have it divided into three sections for the soldering iron style, the Firelood burner, and then the Razertip. So what we're going to do is I have the chisel tip, and I'm just going to do a little bit of, say, a cross hatch here. Now, you guys have seen the Razertip in action before, so you know how it burns. The heat is good, it's consistent, and I'm getting a good cross hatch there on the Razertip. So let's try the Firelude. We'll turn on the main power, but we'll try this and see how we do. This is a much thicker tip than what we have on the Razertip, so we're getting a thicker line burning in here. But it's not too bad. If I turn this around, maybe use the point. But we're still getting a good burning there. It's just not a very fine line. And last, we have the soldering iron. And we'll just see how well it burns. You know what? There's no burning there at all. I would like that a little hotter. So we're going to turn it up, and we have to give it time to heat. That's the one drawback with a soldering iron style burner, is that it's not instant control. If you're turning it up or down, you need to give it time to either heat up or cool. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna see if I can find a finer tip for our Firelude. Now this might be a little closer to our Razertip. We'll give the same heat settings that we have here, and let's try this crosshatch burning again and see how we do with this tip. Okay, and with some lighter pressure, we're able to get some finer lines. So looking good on that. So how are we doing now with our soldering iron tip? It should be heated by now. So let's see how we make out doing a little bit of crosshatch with the soldering iron tip. You know what, we're getting a good burn with it, no doubt, but it is a very different burn, definitely. So let's start with some stippling. Let's try that. And again, we're going to use the exact same chisel tip with the Razertip. And if you remember from our tutorial, stippling is just small dots. So we're going to put those small dots here. All right, that should be enough. We don't need a lot to test it. We already know how the Razertip works. Okay, and let's test now the same stippling with the Firelood burner. Okay, for this operation, this heat might be a little high, but we're still getting a nice burn. We're getting a nice black stipple. We're getting that nice dot. We're barely touching that wood. A much finer result still with the Razertip, but it's a much finer chisel. And of course, now we'll try our soldering iron style. Same technique, just using the tip of the chisel. And you know what? The tip of the chisel is providing a nice stippling here. It's not quite as dark as the other two, but that is the nature of a soldering iron style burner. So don't expect that it's going to give you like instant super hot results. But we are getting still a nice stippling. It's just a little lighter than the other two burners. It's giving a nice fine stippling, and you can really work at that to get some great shading. I could tell you though, the heat from the soldering iron style here is really coming up through the pen. It's not so much in the handle of the pen, but I can feel it radiating off of the tip. Again, that's the nature of the soldering iron style. And I've said before about wearing gloves while we do this, and there is case in point is the heat radiating from our soldering iron tip. Well guys, we're getting some pretty good results here. One thing we'll notice right off the bat is the fine lines of the Razertip versus the thicker lines of the Firelude and the thicker lines of the soldering iron style. It's just the nature of the beast, guys. It's not anything to do with the quality of the burners. It has to do with the size of the tip, and the Razertip has a much finer blade on that chisel tip than what these two here do. They're still burning just fine. So what I'd like to do is I would like to do a little bit of line shading. So let's try that. And we're just going to go beside this here, and we're just going to do just some straight up lines. And right beside it, if you remember, we did some grass. So let's try to do a grass burn here. And that is where we just start at the bottom, and then if you remember, we lift as we go along to form the blades of grass. Okay, not bad. How about the Firelude? Yeah, nice burn. Nice control. Good. Let's try the grass and see how we do. So you get the burn and then wisp it off. A really deep initial burn, and then it tapers off with the grass. It kind of gives a neat effect. I kind of like that. And lastly, we'll try the line burning, the line shading or the line drawing with our soldering tip style. Not bad at all. And how about grass? Okay, grass is a little more challenging here. With the soldering style, you got to let it burn. Inherently, soldering iron style burners, as I've said earlier, they burn slower. So you can't do these quick strokes. But what you can do is you can do the slower strokes and then taper off, and still get the same effect. All right, that looks pretty good actually. In the grand scheme of things, this actually would look great in a wood burning as the grass. It's a little more robust than what the other grass burnings are, but even still, it's still a good burning. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, guys, what I want to do is we're going to change up all of these tips. We're going to install a writing style tip, And I'm going to go over our words here: soldering iron, Firelood burner, and Razertip, and just see how we make out here as far as marking those. And let's test that and see how well they perform. So guys, as you can see, whether it's a $15 iron, a $37 iron, or let's not talk about it, this one, we're getting burnings, and good burnings, with all of them. And while the soldering iron is a little more, I don't want to say rustic, but it's a little more of a coarse burn. This here is the next finer burn, but this is a tip thing. The Razertip is the finest burn of all of them, but again, that is because of the tip, not the burner. The burners themselves are functioning the same. Soldering irons inherently have more coarse tips. They have to be able to hold the heat of that iron. So this is the sort of thing that you're getting. So what's my conclusion? All of them work. And there you have it. Comparing different wood burners. Now let's start off with the lowest of the bunch, the $15 soldering iron tip. What are the pros of this? Well, number one, it's a solid unit. It's very solid. There's very little messing around with it. You plug it in and it heats up. On the lower settings, you can get some shading and get some good shading. But the thing with a soldering iron style burner, it takes longer to get the burning. That's the nature of it. That's what it does. It is a more steady, solid heat, and it takes a while for that burning because they don't get to the heat of the other burners. Those other burners, if you turn them up too high, they will glow red. Soldering iron tip isn't like that. The tip of the soldering iron, for the most part, for me, is too long from where you hold the handle. And what happens is, we're not used to writing or controlling something that sticks out that far. And because of that, it's more difficult to control a soldering iron type. Now, if you're just burning things like grass or that sort of thing, or clouds, trees, the soldering iron style will do you just fine. But if you're doing things like lettering, geometric shapes, that sort of thing, you need a little higher level of control. And that higher level of control is very hard to achieve without a lot of practice when you're using a soldering iron style burner. Will the soldering iron tip do the job? Will you be able to get great results with a soldering iron tip? 100%. There's nothing wrong with it. It still works fantastically. It's just a little awkward, and it takes more time and takes more practice. It may not be the iron for those that are beginners. If you're going to do things like lettering, geometric shapes, things that need a lot more control. But price point, very economical, and you can still get some great results with it. So don't discount the soldering iron style burner. It just takes more practice. It takes more to be able to use it, and it takes time. So let's move on now to the Firelude and my thoughts on that. Very capable unit, without a doubt. It works well. The tips are a little thicker than the ones that I'm used to, but the variety of tips is unreal. So there is a possibility to still get very fine results. You just have to change up your techniques. Those wire tips, which is basically what they are, they're bent and shaped wire, hammered flat or whatever to get your chisel tips. Those tips cool very, very quickly, very quickly. And there is very little waiting when you want to change a tip on one of these style units. In general, you can change them within 30 seconds after shutting it off. They cool that fast. What does not cool that fast are the posts that those tips connect to. So please keep that in mind. The other thing with the style of the Firelude burner, guys, the tip doesn't stick out as far as what it does on the soldering iron style. And that provides a much higher level of control. And control right away. It's not awkward at all to use it. There isn't a lot sticking out the front for the burning tip itself. So the last one being the Razertip, guys. I'm not going to get too much into it. What I will say is the performance of the Razertip, fine lines, quick heating, quick cooling, all that jazz. The control is there. The pens are comfortable, etc., etc. They're slimline pens. They work well. I'm used to it. But guys, it comes with a price tag. For what I have, I did the math. I was almost shocked at what it all costs. You're talking close to $700. For what the Firelude or the soldering iron tip did here today on the show, $1,537,700. You do the math. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I guess the final conclusion here, guys, is I love my Razertip. I'm not going to lie. I think it's an amazing burner. Very expensive, but it does a great job. The $37 unit, it has the same functionality as the Razertip, just not as fine. And I'm not used to the control of it, but I'm positive that with a little bit of practice with it, I can use that just as easily and just as efficiently as what I use my Razertip. The soldering iron style, still a viable option at $15, still works. And for any beginner, as long as you're not doing specific technical burning like geometric shapes or writing, it will serve you well. And it's well worth it for $15 to give it a try to see if you're even interested in doing wood burning. Guys, if you haven't already, if you found any part of today's show useful, interesting, informative, you know what? Why not like and subscribe to the channel? We have an amazing audience base here, and I'm hoping that you're going to consider becoming a part of that. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's show. I hope you found something useful here today. I hope you were able to pull something positive out of today's show. And more importantly, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another Alternative Tuesday.